Greetings, Glitter Gang, and welcome back to Kathryn Scraps Live. My name is Kathryn, and today we are starting a new project. This is going to be a YouTube project, meaning there will be a playlist, and all the videos for this project will go into that playlist, and it'll be accessible through YouTube as well as in the archives. So the archives will get it first. YouTube will trail behind a day or two, but everyone will have access to this project. Thought it might be fun as a nice little New Year palette cleanser after we finished that huge project. The Hip to Be Square album, which was a lot of fun. 3 albums, actually, Hip to Be Square albums. So yeah, welcome back. We are going to be crafting live. We are going to be going through the whole album creation process. So from concept through planning to execution. So this will be a planning video. And we'll get started with that. So here's my idea. My idea is to do a pastel. I'm thinking this lavender color, if I have a good match. Winter album. Winter only. So it's not a holiday album of any kind. It's just a winter album. And I want to do it. I want it to sort of look like a box at the end. So that means 4 sides to the album. So roughly, so basically what I mean by that is, hi, yes, you need attention. Is that what you're trying to tell me? You need attention from me specifically? Okay. All right. Okay. Oh, wow. 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 He really just said, stop what you're doing. You're done. You're done. You're done. No pen for you. Okay. So I want it to look like a box, like a little shallow box when it's done. So this is the shape I want. I'm thinking gatefold. I'm also thinking we try a variety of closures that are no magnets, basically, is what I'm saying. Try and do a no magnet album. So maybe we'll do really big buttons on the front with a string closure, and that's how we hold the front shut. For size, I'm thinking 9 by 6.5. Okay, so let's talk about why 9 by 6.5. So you all know that I always have 4 by 6 photos in mind to minimize cropping. So I may have 4 by 4 photos where you have to crop a photo a little bit, but I try to keep it mostly to 4 by 6s and photos that have the same aspect ratio as 4 by 6s so that you don't have to do a ton of cropping. So that's where the 6.5 comes in, because if I make it 6.5 instead of 6, for example, instead of making a 6 by 6 album, if I make a 6.5 inch by 6.5 inch album, then at least can have 1 4 by 6 photo height vertically placed on it and 1 4 by 6 photo horizontally placed on it, if it's 6.5 by 6.5. Where the 9 comes in is if I want to be able to get 2 vertical photos side by side, 2 portraits, it has to be at least 9 inches, because 4.5 plus 4.5 is 9. So I thought, let's just make it 9 by 4.5. That way, this is 4.5 by 6.5, and this is 4.5 by 6.5. Okay? All right. So that's the top layer. Thickness, I'm thinking either 1 inch or 2 inches. I'm tempted to go 2, so let's just say 2. So it'll be 9 by 6.5 by 2. It needs 3 dimensions because it is a box. All right, so let's just talk about these box pieces and what we would need to make just this outer shell, right? So to make just this outer shell, we're gonna need a piece here that's 4.5 plus 2 plus 1 inch to wrap around to the back. So 6.5, 7.5 by 6.5. Okay. So we need one piece that's 9 by 6.5, and that's the base. We need 2 pieces for these 2 sides that are 7.5 by 6.5. And then for these 2, this one here and this one here, let's just make them ever so slightly smaller than 7.5. So let's make them then 6.5. So width-wise, we'll make them 6 3/8 instead of 6.5. And then height-wise, they can be anything. They just have to be at least 4 inches because they need a flap to go in and help kind of hold everything shut, and a flap to go to the back. So let's give it 2 inches in. Let's give it 2.5 inches in. So 2.5 inches. So there'll be like a little flap on the inside now that's going to kind of hold things flat in the box. Okay. And so we're saying that's 2.5 plus the side is 2 plus 1 inch to go on the back. So that's 4.5 plus an inch, 5.5. That's the 2 sides. Okay. All right. So, and then again, just as a reminder, because this is a YouTube available project, there won't be a album basics guide or tutorial for it. You have to take notes. So periodically I'm going to hold this up to the camera so you can take screenshots so you don't have to take notes. Or if you want to take the notes in a way where you can organize them how you like them, then take a screenshot and you can write it all down, or pause and write it all down. Okay. All right. So this is the album size, and here is, we're starting the cut list. So this is the exterior. The EXT. All right, so then let's talk about how we want to do the interior. Or do we want to make the exterior and start adding to the interior from the bottom up? Let's do that. Let's just make the exterior and start adding to the interior construction-wise. We'll just start from the inside out. So, okay, let's go ahead and talk paper. So this is from Simple Stories. This is FEELIN Frosty. It is not linked below, okay? But I will make sure I do that for the next class. Well, or if you're watching this on YouTube after the fact, it'll be linked below. So that's just a message for the people who are like watching live right now. But this is FEELIN Frosty by Simple Stories. I am using the digital collection, so I printed it myself so I could manipulate the pieces. And I'm going to just show you what I have done. So here, when I printed everything, I knew I wanted to keep things 4 1/4-ish, 4 1/4 friendly. So like all these cards I resized to be 4 1/4 inches tall. All these tags I resized to be 4 1/4 inches tall. With the words, I typically don't use little small words, so I made them all very big. So I made anything that had more than one word, I made it 1 inch tall, and anything that had only one word, I made it 2 inches tall, just so there'd be a little variety there. And then here's another sheet of the words you can see. Then the other embellishments, I just made them all around 3-ish inches, 3-ish inches, so that they would all be similarly sized. All right, so the other thing I did is any of the tags that had a lot of white, that did like, so this one is solid blue, so I know where the outside edges are, but this one was mostly white. Excuse me, hiccup. So I didn't, so I put a stroke on all of these. That's in Photoshop. I printed this border out really extra large. I thought it might be fun to play with really large embellishments. So that's just an idea. A couple things I made, whoops, 4 inches like this, just so that not everything was 2 inches, but I tried to keep everything pretty big because I thought that would be fun. All right. So like I said, this is a winter collection. It's not a holiday collection. It's just winter. And it's pastel, which is fun. All right, so I've also got the paper here, so I'm going to flip through it. And then I printed the cards at the bottom, and again, those are all 4 1/4. But you can see it's very fun and cute. Very fun and cute. Now, one color that I know would work would be, of our cardstock, would be charcoal, because this is a very gray collection in terms of there's not a lot, there's more dark gray than there is black. But I thought it would be fun to do a pastel base. So what we'll do is we'll find a sheet. Here we go. All right, so this one has all of the colors. So let me grab my swatch book, and hopefully there's a purple we can use. So I'm going to go straight to the purples, and I have this color, Lilac. This is what I want to use, and I just want to make sure that it's looking good, and I think it's going to work fine. So let's do it. Let's make a purple winter album for something different. So, all right. So that's Lilac. I'll finish flipping through so you can see. Just get an idea of the paper collection, see if you like it. And I did print it out, so even though I manipulated it just kind of generally like on a whim, you know. It's not like I designed pages specifically for the album. So this is more or less just based on what I know about my own taste, how I tend to like bigger embellishments, not use smaller words, things like that. Okay, and then of course I also have here some photo type stuff. So I have a bunch of photo mats already printed as well, but 4x4 and 4x6 predominantly. All right. So there we go. So that's what we're working with. Let's go find the lilac paper. And use that. All right, here it is. All right, so there we go. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna use this lilac here to cut this. So that's what we're cutting, all right? Oh, my goodness. All righty. Well, we lost power several times the last couple days, yesterday and the day before, from that wind tornado storm thing. that was moving through Florida and Georgia. Okay. So for these that are 5.5 by 6 3/8, I can do a 5.5 inch by 6.5 inch pinwheel. So instead of a 5 by 7 pinwheel, a 5.5 inch by 6.5 inch pinwheel. Also, it's the same as the 5 by 7 pinwheel, except instead of putting it at 5 inches, you'll put it at 5.5. And instead of cutting up to 5 inches, you'll cut up to 5.5. And then we'll just trim them down to 6 3/8. Because right now they're 6.5. Well, we'll trim 2 of them down. And then the other 2 we won't. These will just be scraps. Okay, so that's those 2. And then we need 2 that are 9 by 6.5. And 2 that are 7.5 by 6.5. Okay. Well, just one that's 9 by 6.5, right? One that's 9 by 6.5. So 6.5 inch by 9. So there's the base. And these are the top and bottom pieces. I'm just going to cut them down. Again, I'm just cutting them down to 6 3/8. They're 6.5 by 5.5. And I'm going to make them 6 3/8 by 5.5. 1. 2. And then we have 2 that are 7.5 by 6.5. Those are going to have to be cut from 2 separate sheets. So 6.5 by what? 7.5? Okay. This is such a pretty color. All right, so there we go. Now, I have quite a few large scraps as well, and we're going to want to hold on to these and try and use them as much as possible, because we are going to end up with a lot of these 5.5 inch scraps. And then these 2 we don't have to keep, these little shreds. All right. So I'm going to set all this off to the side for a second, and we'll just assemble this. We'll just get started with assembly. All right, so I'm going to get my scoreboard. All right, now that's the 9 inch by 6.5 inch. It does not get scored. These are the 7.5 inch by 6.5 inch, and they do get scored. They get scored at 1 inch, 3 inches, and 6.5 inches, right? Oh, no, they only just get scored at 1 and 3. Just at 1 and 3. All right. And then these two that are 6.5 by 5.5, they get scored on the 5.5 inch at 1 and at 3 as well. Wait, no, not on the 5. They get scored on the 6.5 inch, not on the 5.5 inch. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lightly, with the slightly bigger ball, press out those two score lines that I just made, and then just flip it over and kind of go back and forth a little bit just to minimize the appearance of it. And then we'll score at 1 inch again on the 5.5 inch line edge. Wait, yeah, on the 5.5 inch edge. We're going to score at 1 inch and at 3 inches. So, at 1 inch and at 3 inches. Okay. All right, so we've got everything we need to get started with construction. So I'm going to fold along all the score lines and burnish. Wait, 6.5 inch is not, well, I was going to say it's not tall enough, it's not wide enough because it doesn't go from side to side, because when I designed it, I was thinking I need to make it 1/8 of an inch smaller than 9. It should have been 8 7/8. But I'm going to leave it small like this and not worry about it. And it just won't go all the way across, which is fine. Because the whole point of it is just to keep things from falling out of the album. And to contribute to a box-like effect, which it'll do both of those things. All right. So we're just going to keep rolling. That's the side. And that's a side. All right. So now on this piece, we're going to put tape on the two shorter sides, or the two 6.5 inch sides. I'm going to put 6 3, or the 3/8 inch tape on the 6.5 inch sides. And I'm just going to go over the edges a little bit because my tape is kind of raggedy. So I'll just trim it with a pair of scissors to get it nice and flush. And then on these two, it's the same thing on this edge and on what is going to be stuck to the bottom. I'm going to put tape as well. And then we'll go from there. And then we'll go from there. Okay. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to burnish. And I'm going to cut these little corners. Okay, now essentially what we're going to do is I'm going to peel one side of this, and then I'm going to peel one side of this, and then I'm going to line this edge up next to the score line. So not touching the score line, not on the score line, next to the score line. You should see a little sliver of paper unscored in between the edge of this and the score line itself. It's gonna go like so, okay? And then we'll do the same thing. We'll flip it over and go. All right, same thing. Line the edge up next to the score line. Okay. And now it's gonna gatefold like so. All right, so now we have these two sides, and I'm trying to think of a way, you know, we're gonna attach it like so. And I am okay with it looking like this. Essentially, there's gonna be a corner free there, but there's a part of me that's like, could we make it look intentional and cool that we left that open like that? And maybe the answer is vellum or a transparency. So I'm gonna go and look at my, like, I have like a little section in my paper storage that's all kind of clear sort of stuff, like vellum and transparency and things like that. So I'm gonna go try and find that to use. It's just a matter of, you know, remembering where I put it. Oh, here it is. Okay. I'm just gonna see if I have anything that kind of jumps out at me as like it would work for this album. In fact, let me bring it all over to y'all. Just want to make sure I've got all of it, which I do. All right. So here's a few things that we can use. So we've got from the company Gmund, G-M-U-N-D, we have a wood grain embossed vellum, but it doesn't look, it's not the look I want, which is like of a frosty window. So I think I'll put this back. All right, let's look in here and see what we see. Okay. So this silver is okay. It does have a snowy effect, but the problem I have is simply that it's not the same kind of style as the paper. It's a little more formal and traditional. These are just clear. This is a little too summery. Same with that. Same with that. So many of this one design. I wonder how I got them. All right, so this is more, this and this would work a little bit better. Now I don't think the pink, just because the circles are a little too large, I think. Well, unless I line them up perfectly, I think not to the circles. Yep, I think I'll use that wood grain. Okay. All right, so I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have to cut it, you know, to 9 inches, and then we'll see how much we have to work with. I'll just cut it to 9 inches and then I'll cut it in half, and we'll just use whatever scrap we have. Now, if you don't want to have to mess around with this on yours, then I'll tell you when I come back how to adjust. So I'm going to cut it to 8 7/8. And then I have 7 inches, so I'm going to cut to 3.5 inches. Okay. All right. So there we go. We got that. Now, what we need to do is figure out, you know, like exactly what we're going to do with it. So, we know that our spine is 2 inches. So, if we have it come up from our spine, side to side, and then maybe what we do is, okay, I've got it. I think I know what we're going to do. All right. Okay. Now, let me get the measurements so I can tell you how to avoid this problem at all. All right. So here, where I said 5.5 by 6 3/8, it should be 5.5 by 8 7/8. 8 7/8, because I went 1/8 of an inch shorter than this measurement, but I actually needed to go 1/8 of an inch shorter than this measurement, which is 9 inches. So instead of being 5.5 by 6 3/8, it should be 5.5 by 8 7/8. Okay, so that's 5.5 by 8 7/8. All right, and there we go. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to score these two pieces at 1 7/8 inches. 1 7/8 inches. So not at 2, 1 7/8. All right. And then I'm gonna, no, it definitely doesn't want to fold. So let me really put some pressure on it. All right. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue it here right under the fold. And then this is just not going to be attached up here, so I'm only going to attach it right here, and then we'll just have this free transparency. And in fact, I think what I'll do is I'll give it a little bit of a a little bit of a scalloped edge. And then just part of why I'm having trouble scoring this when I don't normally have trouble scoring transparency is this is the brand Hambly. And I think to remember them, you have to have been crafting for a really long time. Because they have, I don't think they've been popular for a while or making crafting stuff for a while. They're a screen printing company. I think they started in t-shirts. And they got into screen printing transparencies and making some crafting products. But, all right. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and scallop this. I'm going to use my large scallop. I'm going to put it on my desk. And I want to scallop the side that's not the 1 7/8. And I'm just going to try and center it best I can using my mat as a guideline. All right. Sometimes you have to just come on, man. Come on. We've been through so much, Punch. You can't. This is it? This is where you die? Really? Really? Oh, there we go. Okay. Whew. All right, there we go. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try and cut So I'm just gonna mark where to cut the scallop. It'll be close enough. Yeah. All right, there we go. Okie dokes. So let me clean up this little trash pile here and then we'll do the other one. But yeah, I mean, Hambly, their transparency is very thick, very, very high quality. They, you know, they made really nice stuff, but I just think, you know, there was this real boom, and if you haven't been crafting since like the mid 2000s, then you might not have known there was this huge crafting boom. Right around then, or specifically scrapbooking. People were really into scrapbooking. Before it had been knitting. Not to say that people aren't into knitting now, but, and not that they're not into other forms of crafting now, but okay. Man, I could have just recut these pieces faster than this fix, but you know what? Okay, I'm gonna just turn the mic off so I can really wail on it. 1 second. She's gonna get the hammer out next? Yeah. You see a sledgehammer just come through, you know, wham, onto the desk. All right, so once again, I will be right back. Yeah, right. I think there's like a piece of plastic stuck in here, and that's like I can see it. But it's like stuck, you know. So the tossing method does work. And also, if you're feeling frustrated, the tossing method is great. All right. Just for working out your frustrations, you know. All right. Be right back. All right, so I can now get inside it to get out this piece of plastic that's been causing this problem. The only question is, will I be able to figure out how to put it back together? But I think I will. All right, so I've got all the springs lined up. So I think now all I have to do is just get it's got a pin that was holding it all together. I think that's been lost with the amount I've had to wail on it. So there's like somewhere in my craft room, there's like a blue pin that flew out of it. But if we just need something to hold it all together, I might just get a new punch. I mean, this one has been with me for a really long time. But we really just need something to go through here. So I'll think about what I might be able to use to repair it. If I can't find the plastic thing that broke off of it. Oh, I just found it. Ta-da! Perfect. Ta-da! All right, another little piece of plastic just fell out of it. Let's make sure it still works. Ta-da! Okay, good. Now, there we go. All right. Yay! All right, so now that I've destroyed my craft room, let's finish this. So, okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover this with tape. So I'm going to put the tape inside the score lines. And then on the bottom, I'm going to come up a little bit. Oh, the book club book is definitely that thriller. That we talked about. The Cabin in the Woods or whatever it was. Last week. I'll look it up here in a second. But we're going to do, basically the decision that we were waffling over was some of the books on Reese's 2023 list still have long holds. And I think we're just going to stick with her 2023 list because when we went and checked the 2022 list, there are also plenty of books on there that still had long holds. So I think, you know, some books they're still popular. So what we're still going to do is we're going to do the Reese Witherspoon 2023 list. The first one is, okay, now I'm going to line this up. And the easiest way to center something like this, in my opinion, is I just use my scoreboard. Okay. So I'm going to center my chipboard, not my chipboard, my cardstock on my scoreboard. And then I can line up this piece so that it's centered. should I just eyeball it? Okay. This is 8 7/8. The struggle I'm having is that neither score line, like there's no edge that I can just bump them both up against because of how this is scored. So I think I'm going to have to do math. Which is, you know, it's whatever. So this is 6 3/8. And this is 8 7/8. So let's get the fraction calculator. I know, no math, no math, not math. Not math. All right. So 8 7/8 minus 6 3/8 equals 2.5. So they're 1 1/4 inches in. So that's okay. That's fine. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to line this up with a line on my desk, and then I can come line this up with the 1 1/4 line on my desk. Oh my goodness, what the heck? Ugh, okay. All right. Woo, we did it. Okay. All right. Okay, so the side is going to look like that now, which is cute. It's cute. Okay, so we've got one side done. So yeah, so we're just going to do Reese's 2023 because there's not going to be a year that's going to work like perfectly. So for books that you can't get from your library because the wait is really long, I have some suggestions. The first is, if you like audiobooks, you can get free trials from the following places. Also, sometimes books are Chirp, CHIRP. They sell books, audiobooks, and directly, and they're often cheaper than other places. So you can look on Chirp. You can get a free trial from Audible. You can get a free trial from Libro FM. If you have Spotify Premium, you can check Spotify because they allow 20 hours of audiobook listening a month included in Spotify Premium. Scribed, which is now Everand, you can get a free trial usually from them. Libro FM, that's Libro, Libro.fm. So Libro.fm. You can get a free trial from them. They're Audible's primary competitor. Audiobooks.com will give you a free book as well. Yeah, so there's lots of places you can get a free audiobook for a free trial. So that's Chirp, audiobooks.com, audible.com, libro.fm, Spotify. Off the top of my head, those 5. The other thing you could do is you can check with I want to say bookshop.org. Sometimes you can get free trials of things from them. Of course, Amazon might have deals for the Kindle versions of them if you prefer to read like with your eyes. Then to read audiobooks, you can put a price tracker, I'll show you how, on things in Google Chrome, and they'll alert you if the book goes on sale anywhere. And of course, Half Price Books and other used bookstores, Pango, etc. You can find physical copies for less expensively. So I think that's just what we're gonna have to do. And it's only a couple books, and some of them are later in the year, like Tom Lake by Ann Patchett. So like those ones put on hold, but I'm gonna go, I'll just go through the list now. Okay, so starting in January of 2023, we have The House in the Pines by Anya Reyes. So this is our January book. The book of the month will be discussed the first class of the next month, okay? So on the first class of February, we will be discussing The House in the Pines, which is a January book. So we're always going to be a month behind, right? So you'll be reading the January book in January. We'll discuss it at the beginning of February. You'll be reading the February book in February. We'll discuss it at the beginning of March. So January's book is The House in the Pines by Anya Reyes. We'll discuss it at the beginning of February. And then this is one of the books that had a longer hold, which is The House of Eve by Sadiqa Johnson. This is February's book. And we'll be discussing it at the beginning of March. So this is one you might want to be on the lookout for. And actually, let me show you how to put a price tracker on a book. So I'm going to open in a new tab, The House of Eve, okay? And I'm in Chrome. I'm in the Chrome app, so the Google Chrome app. So if you notice on the Google Chrome app, I have this bell with a plus sign. That's a price tracker. So if I click on it, it'll say, do you want to track the price and get alerts if the price drops on any website? And then say, if it's pink, well, it'll be a different color on your phone. But you can price tracker it. And you can turn the price tracker on and off by hitting the tab. Okay? So now it'll tell me anytime this book goes on sale anywhere on the internet. And it uses the Google Shopping app to track all of these prices. Okay, so that's another way you can keep an eye out for deals on the ones that may have really long holds at your library. Oh gosh. March 2023's choice was The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. What? Okay, well anyway, The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna, which I think actually didn't get voted on in 2 different rounds of voting the year that I tried to make it a thing. So it's finally come back. It's going to haunt us until we read it. So it's The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. Not The Nightingale. I did the Russian one. The Winter something. But anyway, this is the World War II one. So yeah. Romantic Comedy by Curtis Sittenfeld. Prepare yourselves. I hated that book. Hated that book. Did you hear about Kitty Carr? Cassandra in Reverse. She's stuck in a time loop. Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. And Tom Lake by Ann Patchett. Tom Lake and Yellowface probably both have significant holds in a lot of places. Mother-Daughter Murder Night by Nina Simone. Starling House by Alex E. Harrow. That'll certainly be a book that we discuss. Maybe next time by Cheska Major. Before We Were Innocent by Ella Berman. And that's it. Those are the 12. Okay. You can find them all by Googling Reese Witherspoon Book Club 2023. and there'll be a link to her website where you can see them all. But we will start with the House in the Pines. So we'll be discussing this the first Thursday of February will be the House in the Pines. And then The House of Eve by Sadiqa Johnson. And then The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. Is it Winter Court? I don't know. There was some Kristen Hanna book. We had a couple Kristen Hannas. She's never won. Back when we used to vote on the books, she never ever won. Probably because her books are so long, is my guess. All right, so that's it. So that's book club. So that's what we're going to be doing. Woo! All right. So now that we've got these reinforced, I guess, we can go ahead and stick them down. So for these, I'm not going to put, I'm going to put something on the edge of the cardstock. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to center the cardstock on my mat. So I just know where the outside edges are. And I'm going to put just a 6-inch piece of tape right in the middle on the edge. So that way I know that there's tape right on the edge and it's stuck down, but I also know it's not going to be bigger than the actual piece I'm sticking down on it by only doing these 6 inches right here in the middle. But yeah, I would go through the book club for Reese, go through the 12 of them, go through your library, put the ones that are really popular on hold now, because I know some of them, some people were talking about having 6 months waits on some of them. That Ann Patchett book, that book, I don't know, did it win a Pulitzer? It won some big, not a Pulitzer. Maybe. It won some really big award. And on top of that, Ann Patchett's books are, of course, just generally big sellers, hard to get, very popular. So, all right. So now I'm just going to put the tape on the edge here. And then we'll stick this down. Okay. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to line these up. And when I go to stick it down, I want to line it up so that the edge is there we go. So that this plastic piece is centered in between the two score lines on the 9-inch side. And then when it's closed, it's going to look like this. Okay? On the side. Okay. And then same thing with this one. You know, I'm just making sure there. All right. So there they go. So that's how that's going to go. And then these will come over the sides like so. So it's going to look like these. Like these. Cute. Okay. So we've done the base layer construction. Okay. So the next phase is, you know, what are we going to do on the inside here? So like we could make we could make infinity fins to put here and here to add some gatefold pages on the sides. We could make, well, we can do all kinds of stuff, basically. Let's talk about, let's actually just decorate, well, yeah, let's do some decorating on the front cover. So here's one thing I'm thinking. What if we take a 6.5 by 4.5 inch photo mat that holds like a 4x6 card, and that's on the front, attached to one side, and then over here is something it tucks under. So looking at the pattern paper, what I mean is, you know, could I take something like this, for example, and turn it into like a slightly elevated little plaque here that then the photo mat tucked under, so that would hold it closed, but then you could still open it by pulling it to the side. That way we would pressure, it would be like pressure fit. So I'm just looking for like, what would I stick the photo mat under, you know? And I kind of really love the idea of this big, bold piece right here. Or even one of these. Ooh, let's do one of these. Let's just do this gray one. Okay, so this gray one will be the start of our closure. And that's going to go right there on the side. So now we need to find a card to tuck under it. And the cards are going to be like predominantly at the bottom of the patterns of paper. So something like wintry, that would make a good title page. That hello snow, that snuggle weather. Snow much, I think snow much fun. I think I'm gonna end up with snow much fun. Yeah. Snow much fun. Okay. So I'm going to cut this out. Alrighty. Yeah. All right. So we've got this and this. They're going to go like so. So now we need 2 patterns of paper for the front closure. So let's look at the patterns and see what we like for a front cover. I do kind of like these. Not that. No. No. Maybe. No. Maybe. No. Not really. Maybe. No. No. Nah. Okay, so these 3 are the ones in contention. I have to quickly leave the room. Unfortunately, I'll be right back, everyone. I'm gonna mute the microphone while I'm gone. I have returned, and we're ready to jump back in. Okay, so this is lilac, if that's the paper you're asking, Judy. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do the houses. All right, so I'm gonna do the wood on the right and the houses on the left. I think that's how we'll do it. Okay. So I'm just gonna set my pile to the side. Okay. All right. I'm back and you can all hear me, correct? Okay. All right. So what I'm gonna do is I pushed the table way away from myself for some reason. All right. So I'm gonna grab my big ruler and I'm gonna make a cut 4.5 inches in. Not 4.5, 4.25 inches in. Four and a quarter inches in. Now I want to stop on the white line with my rotary trimmer. All right. And then I need 6.5 inches in. Or sorry, 6.25 inches in. So go ahead and cut from here. And then just cut right there. All right, so there's that piece. And then that's a scrap. Let's just all right. And then once again, we want to come in 4.25. Okay. And then go ahead and do 6.25 of this. And now we gotta just trim everybody out. Just gonna do that by hand. All right. There we go. Okay. Okay. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to ink all these, and I think that the ink to use is brushed corduroy, but all right. Wait, where's my, oh, here it is. Okay. I still need to cut that out for my closure. Okay. All right, so we're going to get this all assembled so we have our closure all done and ready to go on the front. All right, but first we've got to get this organized. So essentially what I'm going to do is just trim this, and then I'm going to trim this side as well. And then I'm going to trim 4 1/4 inches in. All right, and now we can ink that and start getting everything assembled. Okay. All right, so now what I want is I'm going to start with this, and I'm going to take a scrap, and I do have several scraps. Okay, now I'm going to score this. Oh, that's very irritating. Okay. So I'm going to score this at 1 inch and 1/8 inches. Okay, 1 inch and 1/8 inches. And then I'm going to pick up everything I threw on the ground, which was a lot of things. Otherwise, I will lose them. And, okay. Okay. So, I'm going to score. And the reason I made this 1/8 inch little gutter is so that when I put my foam tape in here, to elevate this. That will cover the foam tape on the outside and keep it very clean on the spine, okay? So essentially what I'm doing is putting foam tape on that 1-inch tab that I made, or excuse me, I'm putting regular tape on the 1-inch tab. Okay, then I'm going to burnish it. And then inside it, right on the score line, again, next to it, but not touching it, not on top of it, right next to it, I'm going to put a 1/2 inch piece of tape. So I put a 1/2 inch piece of my black foam tape. Okay. And then ultimately, see, that's going to make something I can stick to the page and have it just work. So now what I'm going to do before I do that is I'm going to stick this down and cut all around it. Okay, so I'm going to use a liquid glue for that. And what you are witnessing, this is just kind of, we're just flying by the seat of our pants. We're just crafting here, you know. I kind of have a plan. I kind of have an idea of what I want. It could go really in any direction. Okay, all right, and now I'm gonna try and cut this out, giving, you know, about 1/8 of an inch all the way around. All right. And then I'm going to cut it off. And I'm going to see if I have any little bits that are going to show. And I'll just angle them so they don't show. Like so. All right. All right, so now this is going to go right here. Okay. So, ooh, actually, I'd like this to go underneath. So that means I need to remove this tape, this foam tape, and I'll replace it in a second. Okay, so I'm going to stick this down first. All right, and I just want to take a look and see if I like it better like this. Ooh, I don't like that at all. I think we may have to get rid of it. And we may have to just do 2 of the woods. 2 of the woods. Okay. All right, so I'm just gonna cut 6 1/4 by 4 1/4 inch piece. One, two, three, four. So. And 4 1/4. And cut the two sides. And my sister and her husband have been cold weather camping, which, you know, cold for Georgia, but it really did get quite cold in Georgia recently. Yeah, she said one of the nights they were out there was 32. So, you know, in a tent, that's rough. That's rough times. So, so yeah, they've been cold weather camping and they've been having adventures. So, my idea is I think I'll let them have this book to stick their photos in. They can order them from CVS or wherever. Yeah, I think they still do it. All right, so yes. Oh, yes. Yes, Damien never tested positive for COVID, and he never really got too very sick. So his doctor was not correct that he had COVID. He tested negative at the doctor's office, but she said based on his symptoms and the way COVID was presenting in the area, she was sure he had COVID. Turned out he did not have COVID. So, which is why they went camping. But he was still, you know, written out of work. And even though he wasn't testing positive, you know, work was still like just, you know, follow the doctor's orders. So they went camping instead. Hey, bud. What's up? What's up, little buddy cat? What's up? Yeah. Whoa. What? So yeah, he's fine, and no one else in the house got sick. So that's nice. Okay. So, we're going to stick this down first. All right. And it's going to go right here on this flap. Hey, buddy. Hi. All right, and so now we can put down this piece. Just trying to see which way I like it better. All right, I'll put this piece down. Cheddar Bay biscuit. There we go. I suggested chicken nugget, so, but I couldn't get any buy-in on that one. He's once again nameless. Poor little nameless cat. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that black tape down again. But I'm going to have it not quite go to the edges this time since I won't be able to cut it off as easily as before. So I'll just have it not go like 1/4 of an inch in. But yeah, so he's totally fine, which is nice. All right. Just trimming it a little bit more, closing it to make sure you can't see it. You can't. So the problem with Cheeto is we kind of do call Marcel Cheeto. I guess we could just stop. But, all right. So there we go. So there on the spine is how it's going to look. Not going to see any black tape. Nice. All right. So now we'll do the other side. I have a feeling I'm going to regret my outside in approach the more we add to the album. Well, Chester, my sister has a friend who has an orange cat named Chester, and that's why she doesn't want to name her cat Chester. Because it does to seem like we're copying, you know. So that's why Chester didn't work. That's why it was ultimately rejected. And I like shredder cheese, but my sister doesn't want cats named after cheese. But I've been using it consistently enough that he does respond to it now. So it's going to de facto become his name.
Shaking treats in front of him.
That's right. Come here, Shredder Cheese. Come here, Shredder. Come here. Shredder. She's like, stay here, Norbert. Because they just watched Harry Potter. So I guess the dragon that Hagrid adopts is called Norbert. I don't really, you know, I'm not very Harry Potter informed. I actually think this isn't going to be long enough. This piece is not going to be long enough to really catch and hold it shut. So that's unfortunate. How to what? He was just yelling about something. He's like, give me food. He's like off in the corner yelling at us. All right. So the Snow Much Fun isn't big enough to go under there. So how do we want to do the closure now? Maybe what we need is to do like a button closure. That we can kind of tuck things behind. I guess I could put another one of these on the other side and we could add buttons to them and we could tie it all the way across. And then this could just be like a decoration or something. Put it on a lavender background. That's true. That's going to help. All right, let's find a scrap. Hopefully we have a scrap that'll be the right size. I don't think we will though. Oh, nope, we do. So the problem is, in order to be held by this thing, it has to be at least this far over. It's not a problem. That's the challenge that we're working with, I guess. So then we need something else here to kind of fill in that's offset a little bit. So let me start by sticking this down, and then we can look at the embellishments and find something. Nacho cheese is also associated with Marcel. Marcel, when he was a kitten, he was very stinky. And so we called him lots of things like burrito, Cheeto, nacho, with junk foods, really, because of how stinky he was. So he thankfully grew out of being stinky, so we could give all those names to the new cat. But I thought, did Nacho get rejected? I kind of like Nacho.
It floated. I'm sure it got rejected, but who knows who rejects anything at this point? We just can't all seem to get on the same page.
Yeah, this cat's never getting named. His name is nameless. Robin Hood, John Doe, Hong Gil Dong. Limburger? Well, the new cat isn't as stinky. Liz did suggest Roquefort. So she did. It's true. All right, so if we put that there and then glue it down. Okay. So first, let's just mark where this one needs to be glued. So to mark where this one needs to be glued, I'm going to close it the amount that I want it closed, which is to have like a little gap. So I'm going to make sure that's all the way to this side. Monte Cristo, like this, like the sandwich. Okay. All right, so now I'm just gonna make a line lightly with a pencil where those Post-its are, because that'll tell me where to put my tape. I've lost all my pencils. Oh, here they are. All right. I'm going to leave the tape on there because the tape will help me line it up again. When it's time to permanently stick it down. Okay. So yeah, this cat's not getting named. Poor cat. Maybe we should just name him Anne of Green Gables. Dan of Green Gables. Your cat was named Galileo and kind of looks like your cat. Or our cat. Galileo, Galileo. What about Figaro? That's kind of a cattish sounding name. Maybe we should just say that his name is Danny so it can be over, and then we just never call him Danny.
Well, what do we call him?
Shh. I'm not trying to find a permanent solution. Just trying to keep people from feeling bad. Well, we tried letting him choose, and he chose shredder cheese, and then they said that that was unfair because I used my snacks tone.
Whatever.
See?
He told me he liked Norbert.
Yeah, see, now the lies. Now the lies. All right, so just gonna burnish. Okay, so now we've got that. That's done. So now we just need to decorate around it, this piece, to make it a little more interesting. Figaro might have been the name of Pinocchio's cat. What if we just call him Hamlet? He can be the king of Denmark.
I had a dog named
You had a dog named Hamlet? Oh, I thought he was named Romeo.
That was mine.
Well, well, Scott doesn't even like dogs. He doesn't even remember that happened. We could name the cat Hamlet.
It's also a bad name.
What, because of the vibes? See, this is why the cat's not getting named. All right, let's look at embellishments. Something to go here. I could use this tree. Or I could use maybe this Frosty or something like that. I think I'll just use the trees. Okay. Your three orange cats were named Red, Sylvester, and Professor Chaos. Maybe we should just name him after like an X-Man.
You have to wait for the right.
Yeah, he'll name himself somehow. We just have to wait
How about Xavier?
and observe.
Are you Xavier? That's a nice name.
What about Chucky?
That's a terrible name.
Don't get cats. I think that's the lesson. What about Gambit?
Could be worse.
What about Wolverine? Is that worse?
I think you liked it because of the claws.
Yeah, his little claws.
I'm not sure if you could learn his name though.
It would be hard to call him.
Yeah.
Wolverine! It would also sound really dumb. We should just name him something way too grandiose for him, like Shere Khan. Bertani. Yeah, I mean, we've been through the fire names, Phoenix. We've been Pyro, Fyro.
There's a fire-breathing dragon called Norbert.
Norbert, the fire-breathing dragon. Some people have been trying to make that happen since they recently rewatched Harry Potter. Thor. There you go. He can be Thor. Maybe he should just be called Jonesy. After the cat from Aliens. I think Jonesy's the only one who survived all 3 films. Spoilers for the Alien franchise.
Ethan does like that.
Blaze for the fire theme or Dorito for the chip theme. Is there a hot Dorito? Does Dorito have a hot flavor? Like, you know,
I really like the name Blaze, actually.
you like the name Blaze? Well, what are you going to call him? Because cats like 2-syllable names. Blazy?
Blazer.
Blazicious? I don't think that's going to work. Well, someone suggested Copper. Penny?
We had a dog named Penny.
Yeah, it was a psycho monster. Let's reclaim the name. Liz is like, you just keep coming up with names we named Cocker Spaniels. It's like, first of all, it's not like any of us liked any of our Cocker Spaniels. So let's be real.
Well, we didn't know the puppies, really. And Penny was a monster.
Penny was a monster. We found out like later that Cocker Spaniels are, because of inbreeding, are basically all psychotic. Like they're just all maniacs now. Yeah, cats respond best to names that sound like kitty. That go up at the end. E. So if you can go up at the end without saying E,
Fergie?
like Fergie.
He looked at me.
Oh, is your name Fergie?
He looked right at me. Hey, Fergie.
Come here, Fergie.
Fergie looking at you.
Fergie. Come here, Fergie, buddy.
He's thinking about it.
Come here. Come here, Fergie. Come here in 5 minutes or you're going to be named Flaming Hot Dorito. She's like, go, Fergie, go. All right, I think that the trees are going to fix the problem. So, Poor little guy. I know, it's hard to not be named. But we're not trying to, we want his participation, you know. We're not trying to just tell him what his name is. And my family, and we've talked about this on the show before, but we're not great at naming cats. Most of our cats are named Kitty or some variation of Kitty. In the whole family, you know, it's just really kind of been how it is. So, the only reason Marcel has a real name is because we already had a cat named Kitty. So, ooh, Harry? What about Harry? Harry! Come here, Harry. All right.
I think his name is.
His name is. That's right. That's what he responds to the best. Unfortunately, Marcel also is named. So, I do like Fergie with you too, Donna. I suggested that a long time ago, back when we were really sincerely trying to find him a name.
I already suggested Fergus.
And we didn't get, his name was Fergus for a while. Look, here he is, Lord Ferg. What's up, Ferg? We did try it for a while, but it didn't stick. Maybe it'll stick this time. It's the third time's the charm, everyone. Next time I'll put the tape on before I cut them all the way out, but this will be fine for now. Oof, 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 oof. All right. Hey, Marcel, how are you? Whoa! Marcel, what are you doing, sir? What? Hmm? You want, that's how you lose a whisker, buddy. That's how you lose a whisker. You play with that one. He's like, no, I want to play with the one that you're playing with. The gentle nibble. What about space, comet, rocket? Rocket? Marcel, you're going to poke your eye out. All right, Marcel. If you want the new cat to be named Shredder, touch the pink tree. And if you want him to be named Fergus, touch the blue tree. Okay. You hate both those names. I understand. Okay. And so it goes. And so it goes. Marcel. Okay. He wants him to be named whatever I said second. I already forgot. All right. He likes the cat to have no name. It's true. All right. Yay. He is temporarily, at least, named Fergie. Tune in next week to see if it's stuck. In 20 years, we'll be making him a headstone, here lies cat. It's just like... Yeah, cayenne's okay. I like pepper more than cayenne. I just think it's cuter. But we never got buy-in on pepper either, so I don't know why it was so easy to name Marcel. Basically, we just decided that was his name, and then we just told everyone that was his name.
That's how you name a cat.
Yeah. You just commit. And Liz and I were like, as soon as we thought of Marcel, we were like, oh yeah, that's it.
Yeah, we're on the same page.
Yeah. So we've yet to get two people completely on the same page. That's the problem.
I can't even get Jamie in the back me.
Ooh, Paprika. Drax the Destroyer. Tiny Cat's real name, like on her papers, is Jordana, which we all are like, ew, who? How would you ever look at Tiny Cat and think Jordana? Like, what? Ooh, Sierra or Sienna after the paint color. Okay. We are, oh, I thought we were ready. We're not ready. We have one more tree to cut out. Your dog's name was Ladyfinger? Tiramisu? I guess he's not really coffee colored though. Yeah, like Jordana sounds like the name of a woman who has her life together. And you would never look at Tiny Cat and think that's someone who has their life together. So, apologies to Tiny Cat, but... Ladyfinger is Penny now. Well, I know so when we briefly, growing up, my mom bred Cocker Spaniels because a friend of hers bred Cocker Spaniels and talked her into doing it. show for show. Because her friend happened to get dogs from an extremely important Cocker Spaniel show lineage. So they had like real pedigree, I guess. Anyway, so you have to give them these like show dog names. So our dog was Penelope Harlequin Romance, who we called Penny, but her like official fancy pedigree dog name was Penelope Harlequin Romance. And they were part of the line of Sinbad the Sailor, who's like, was at the time in the Guinness Book of World Records for most dog show wins or something like that. How about Goose, the name of the cat that took Nick Fury's eye?
It's gotta be 2 syllables.
Yeah, it really does need to be 2 syllables. You'd have to call him like Goosey. Plus, I do hate geese. Really, like a lot. I'd be okay if there were no geese. If geese disappeared from the world, I don't know what they're contributing to society, and I don't care.
Probably vital to survival.
Yeah, like, it's like the wolves in Yellowstone, right? Like, if you got rid of Canadian geese, all of a sudden, all of North America would collapse. All right. I finally got these all done, so they're all now ready to stick down. I'm not going to ink them because I left a white collar around them like a sticker would have, so that they would have a sticker effect. All right, there we go. I think we'll do like this. I think I like it better when the pink is on the right. Yeah, like that. Okay. So, Nick Fury was actually in consideration for Marcel's name at one point, but didn't win. Once we thought of Marcel, we were like, oh, that's his name. All right, we're done. We even tried looking up in the Marcel movie, like, what's Marcel's pet ball of lint's name and things like that to try and tie the 2 cat names together, but that got us nowhere. So, you know, he's still nameless. Okay, so, all right, those sides will come in, and then, ooh, ta-da. Oh, Marcel got it dirty because he got, when he was flinging the tree around, he did get it a little bit dirty, but that's okay. Actually, you can't even see it on camera, so I'm not going to worry about it. All right, so we did it. Okay, so now we have the outside shell more or less done. When we come back tonight, we'll quickly add stuff to the top and the bottom and the two sides, just to finish off the whole outside. And then we'll start working on what do we want to put inside of it. So do we want waterfalls? Do we want like to do like a 4.5-inch box on one side and like photo pages on the other side? We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. It'll be fun, but that's what we'll be doing. We'll be back tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern USA time. We'll keep working on this project. The cat probably won't have a name, so don't worry about it. We'll figure it out though. He'll get one eventually. If nothing else, he'll just be called Shredder Cheese. Shredder Cheese. All right, I do. Okay, so thank you so much for joining me, everyone. I'll be back tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern USA time to continue this project. This is a YouTube project, which means that the videos will be available on YouTube as well as in the archives. So if you're watching this recording on YouTube, check YouTube for the playlist to see where the rest of the videos will populate into. And I think that that'll do it. So for those of you who are overseas and who are headed to dinner and headed to bed, have a wonderful evening and a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you next week. For those of you who are coming back tonight, have a great afternoon, and I'll see you later. Thanks so much for watching. Bye now.